we can play something for you.
No, that's okay. Let's go.
You want to talk?
Here.
Play it.
Ready? Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
He calls himself
CharLee! What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Go ahead and hit it.
CharLee, there you are. Look how cute you are.
It's not. How come it's not coming in?
I don't know, buddy. Is there some setting on my computer I'm missing? I tried this right here. I hit headphones. I hit headphones.
Plugged in, yeah.
I hit headphones.
Right.
What else do I need to do?
I don't know. Play something real fast.
Hey, Charlie, what's with the dark
I'm still hearing
glasses?
this in the speakers.
Yeah, play it in.
Is there another setting I'm missing? Oh, here we go.
I'm plugging in now.
Good.
Criminals are not responsible for their own actions. They're a victim of society. And really, it's
Yeah, you did it.
society's fault. It's business's
Okay,
fault.
it'll work now. Yeah.
It's cops.
Okay, hit it.
Be mindful. Law enforcement apparently will assault our government.
Hit it. It's going.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. He calls himself
CharLee! What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, CharLee, there you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, what's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow! Charlie!
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
Hello, my friend. Hello. Welcome to the Big Old Bad Old Broadcast. I am Charlie Simons, filling in for Lou Benninger. All the dead air you heard earlier was courtesy of somebody who doesn't work in this studio except once every few months when Lou leaves. So there you go. It's all on me. I take total responsibility. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for checking us out this morning. I got a couple of great guests who are going to be on here. I know Lou normally works solo and he doesn't use guests because he's just so strong, but I'm not that strong as Lou and holding down 3 hours. Thank you, Jolie, for being here, taking care of business for us. We appreciate you more than you know. Jolie is here. And thank you also, Ken Razzle Dazzle Vrazzle, for assisting along here. I'm really glad that you're listening, and I'm going to do everything I can to try and not only entertain you, but inform you about what's going on and introduce you to some really interesting people, because that's what I love to do. So there's so many things happening right now, as you heard with Paul Preston's show, for heaven's sake. But I want to concentrate on two big things that are going to integrally change our state forever, because I will not see a light at the end of the tunnel if Prop 50 passes. I just don't. They are stealing away what we voted for, having a independent commission, although I always doubted how independent it actually was. But they were drawing the lines of the districts, who's going to be representing us. Well, Governor Hairdo has decided he's going to fix everything, and he's going to make it to where he gets to choose who is. And guess who that is? It's him. He's going to be doing it. That's what Prop 50 is all about. And I don't think that my own fellow conservatives and Republicans are realizing the importance of it and just how vital this is, that we actually turn out. We got to be there, because the vote is his election's 2-3 weeks away. November 4th, first Tuesday of November. It's on us just that fast, and by design, because they want to put all these districts in place. They already got all the maps drawn and everything. Have you seen it? It's insane. Basically, all the southwest side of California is going to be okay. We'll give that to mostly conservatives because it's very sparsely populated. Everything else is blue. It's crazy. Kevin Kiley, who I've invited to be on my show several times, not showing up. saying so far nothing, not even saying no, just not even responding, which is odd to me because he's one of the ones that is going to lose his district. He's one of the ones that will suddenly be out of a job. So you think he'd want to be talking about it? Oddly enough, no. I am baffled by the whole thing, how it happened so quickly. But seriously, I'm sure this has been in the planning stages for a long time. And the whole get it done immediately. We have to get this done now is by design. The other thing I wanted to talk about is today's No Kings Day, everybody. Are you celebrating? No Kings. That's the latest from the left and the Antifa and the billionaire-driven protests that are happening right now all across the nation. This is going on now, especially in the big cities and the blue cities, and they will turn violent because that's who these people are and that's how they roll. It will turn violent. But so far, no reports of any. They're just walking around with their megaphones saying the same things over and over. What was one of the ones I heard? What does democracy look like? We're what democracy looks like. What does democracy look like? We're what democracy looks like. What does democracy? Over and over and over again. And they have their little chants. And it's going back to the 60s and the 70s with the Vietnam War protests. So you got all the white hairs coming out en masse, all the baby boomers who really, seriously, you need to sit down and shut up. The adults are talking now, but they won't. They won't. This is exciting to them. They're getting to relive their youth, aren't they? I got a baby boomer in studio with me right now, former Marine. I'm sorry. He just bumped me in the arm as soon as I said that because he's corrected me before he said I'm always a Marine. Okay, Marine Bob Patterson and cowboy, world champion cowboy, huh, Bob? I keep saying that too. It's an extraordinary story. He's done rodeo all his life. He's a Californian. And for anybody who thinks that, well, what kind of cowboys are in California? Well, you're just not paying attention. I guess you're forgetting our history in the West. Cowboys built this state, basically, and gold miners, and the cowboys who left the
There's a lot of great people in this state.
Yeah, good point.
This cowboys got to be part of them.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of where we're at.
I'm so glad you're here, though. Bob is a fascinating gentleman. He started rodeoing, broke his back. Where did that happen, by the way?
Actually, a little town of Plymouth, at a little small rodeo. It's a great rodeo. If you ever get an opportunity to go to Plymouth,
yeah, sure.
It's one of the greatest little communities in the country.
El Dorado County.
But I had a bull. I stepped off the bull after the ride, and the bull come around, hit me in the shoulders with his hind feet, and knocked me forward. Come down with his front feet on my hips and pelvis, broke my hips, pelvis, 3 vertebrae, and all my ribs on one side. And they said I'd never walk again. Well, 6 months later, I entered Grand National and did all right.
Grand National at the Cow Palace, right?
Correct.
Bob's got a story about what happened at the Cow Palace when the media showed up. And this is going back to what, 70s, 60s?
This was in the late 70s. If
70s,
you're talking about the animal rights folks.
I am, PETA, yeah.
Yeah, they stopped in to visit a little bit, and they're all nice.
Visit a little bit. They were there protesting because you mean rodeo people are just terrible to these wonderful animals.
Well, it ended up being earlier in that year, I'd hauled some horses to Chico State College because I'd leased some horses and bulls to the rodeo team.
That's where the money is, actually, isn't it?
Well, it kind of is, yeah.
You don't do the rodeo, you supply the rodeo. That's where the money is.
It actually, where the money is I'm not sure where it's at. I haven't found it yet. But anyway, I gave 14 horses to a lady up there, and we put them in her front yard. And I say I put them in her front yard, and I was holding them up there to change them with 14 horses. Every week I'd rotate the livestock out to keep fresh animals up there and for the rodeo team to practice on. Well, this lady came over and she put her hands in the rails of the truck and says, "Are these show horses?" And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, they are." I said, "They're bucking horses." And boy, she lit into me like I just ran off with her daughter or something. I mean, she was really, really hot after me.
Well, you were in San Francisco.
No, I was in Chico at this time. This led up to San Francisco. It gave me the heart to do San Francisco.
Got it.
So I asked her, I said, "Where are you from?" Thinking this is Chico. It's cow country up there. And this is back in the 70s. And she says, I live right over there. And she points across the street, this nice little house with a white picket fence and everything. So I just backed it. I don't say another word to her. I stopped at a little thrift store there to get a sandwich and a Coke. And so I backed the truck up. I slide the back gate open on the truck, and after it goes past center on top, it comes down, becomes a ramp. And I unloaded 14 horses in her yard. I closed her gate, and I drove back across the street, sat there and enjoyed my sandwich till the cops got there. 3 cop cars show up, and I'm having the best time of my life eating this sandwich and watching them horses just absolutely prune her yard, And they come over
gardening.
Yeah, and I didn't charge her for the gardening either.
No.
And so anyway, the cops come over and asked me whose horses these were, and I said they belong to that lady right there. And they said, how do you know that? And I said, because I'm the fella that gave them to her. And then they went on, and this went on for almost an hour. Well, 14 horses in the front yard for an hour. There's no lawn left. There's no flowers left. And I'm already telling them I need them to call the animal rights people because she didn't water them. I said,
there's no water out there for those horses.
And they said, why'd you give them to her? And I said, well, she was chewing me out, and I love them horses. I kind of figured that, she'd take better care of them than I could, and I want the best for my animals. So I gave them to her. Well, this went on, like I said, for over an hour. And then finally we agreed for her to give them back to me, but I took possession of them as they crossed the sidewalk. So when they were on her property, they were her responsibility. Made that very clear. And so I told him, I said, well, I can't load them back in the truck, but I'll go out to the arena out on the Nord Highway and I'll get a saddle horse. I come back and I rope one, and the rest will follow along. So of course, when I come back, which was quite a while later, because I'm kind of slow about getting around.
Well, yeah.
And so I get back, I rope one, and one cop car follows us out there with his lights flashing and everything. And I think that's where they're going to give me a ticket and shake me down a little bit and everything. These cops, when I got out there, they said, how long are you going to be here? And I said, a couple hours. He says, we're off duty right now. And he goes, can we go and get some pizza and beer? We'll come back and visit with you. And they did. 12 cops showed up there after off duty.
Funny.
And they laughed. They said, that lady has always been a pain. Every time somebody pulls into that store with a dog and a pickup or something, she calls them. And they said, you could not have picked a better place to unload 14 horses. So that was in April. Well, the next October, we're at the Cow Palace, and the animal rights folks come in there. And I'm kind of already schooled in this now because I've done it once. And so I'm listening to Lex Conley and Cotton Rosser, two really, really great men.
Cotton, we just lost last year.
Just this last year,
Yeah.
Well, he's never gone.
Hit it. Ready? Ready? Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. He calls himself
CharLee!
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ouch, Charlie!
CharLee Simons.
Charlie bit me.
Hit it. Two things you're never supposed to talk about.
Was
This is do not talk. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
He calls himself
CharLee.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow! Charlie!
CharLee Simons.
Charlie bit me.
are actually paying attention to what he's been doing. So, Paul, I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
very
buddy.
much. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming back on the air after doing 3 hours of your own earlier this morning. But right now, this is an interview I did with Lou Benninger out at Church of Glad Tidings, and it was for their Rev 17 conference, which they're doing extraordinary work there. If you haven't looked that up, don't know what's happening. It's amazing. But Lou was there, and I said, Lou, come on and talk to me. We started talking about what it was like, the battle against him to get him shut down and shut up when he first started on this radio station by paid elected officials.
That's right.
And it angered me, but if he's probably never told this story on the air, you're going to hear this for the first time. If you're a Lou Benninger fan, here's my interview with him. This is a couple of months ago now. At the Rev 17 conference here at KMYC, 1410 AM, Patriot Radio. Roll it. You're never supposed to talk about politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like here on earth. The other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. It's kind of important. The silent majority has finally found its voice. And one of the greatest voices in the Northern California Sacramento metro market for radio and television, one of the greatest voices on the conservative side is this man right here. I'm a fan. I listen to him. I encourage others to listen to him. He does the most amazing show. You're only on one day a week. That's not enough, buddy.
Saturdays,
Not
yeah.
enough.
Okay.
This is Lou Benninger. Lou Benninger. Hello, my friend.
Good morning.
glad
It's still
you're here.
morning.
It
Still
is
morning.
I'm
All right.
glad you're here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
You've been an integral part of this whole thing, haven't you? Peaceofheaven.life and here at Church of Glad Tidings out here in Yuba City, Live Oak, actually, a little town.
Yes, I've been here probably the longest of the group around here, and but there's a lot of people involved in this Piece of Heaven. The new generation's picking it up, and I'm helping where I feel fit.
What Lou does when he's not on the radio, when he's not working, when he's not volunteering, he delivers Bibles. He takes tracts to countries that hate him being there. They don't want him to be there. You have got some stories, my friend.
Well, yeah, we've been, when I came to work here with Dave Bryan, when he asked me to come here, which I would never considered working for a church a good operation, a good opportunity, but I was at a bad place in my life, and so Dave asked me to come and get involved and then work, and then eventually work at the church. So the job was to get people out of the church and helping people around the world. Yeah. And that was my focus, and he didn't really define it any more than that, just like get them out of here. Instead of get them in here, right? Get them out of here and actually help somebody, do something, right?
Your radio show is, you name names. You don't hold back. You are really focused on your county and your local area, and that's a rarity because everybody always wants to, be the nationwide talk show. You're like, nope, this is where I live, and this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on and how they're doing it. What kind of problems has that presented for you?
Personal problems were, I was running a large nonprofit called Trauma Intervention Program, so it made it difficult to raise money for that. That was one. Probably a legal problem was during COVID, my comments about the health operation here in Yuba Sutter counties. They filed a restraining order against me, and they took me to court. So
how do you file a restraining order against somebody on the radio?
They said I threatened the life of the health officer of Yuba Sutter. And but really Yuba County, where that originated, the county council of Yuba County filed the charges, and I think in general they wanted to take me off the air, and they complained to the Trauma Intervention National Board, who fired me. And so I wasn't earning money, but I brought that program here and ran it for 27 years. Helping people that were having the worst experience of their life, going on 911 calls. So that ended that. And a lot of things ended for me. And certainly things other areas that I work in were hampered because of my comments on the radio, because when you make comments about correction in the community, you can't really go ask them for help and money. They don't want to help you, right? So it's like, be on board with us, whatever we want to do. And a lot of people in these government positions and even in nonprofit positions have their hand in the till, and they're stealing from the taxpayers. And so I would just simply say that, and that doesn't go over well because they want to keep doing that and lay low. Right. They want to lay low.
Exactly.
Right. So I just Dave.
What came of that, by the way? Sorry for interrupting, but what came of that? I mean, because there's this thing called the First Amendment in our U.S. Constitution. I thought protected speech on the radio.
They served me at the last minute, but the sheriff himself served me. He called me into his office, and I thought it was a business meeting. And he said, "Hey, I didn't want to send one of my deputies over to your house. This is really hard for me, but I need to serve you this paper." He said they wanted me to arrest you. They asked me to come and arrest you, and I wouldn't do that. He said he hasn't committed a crime. But he said, my job is to serve legal paperwork, so I'm going to serve him. So he served me in his office. He said, "Listen, you need to get it together because you just got the weekend." They served me at the very last moment, according to the code, and it just gave me the weekend to prepare to go to court. And it actually played in my favor, even though they what was evil, intended for evil, to take me down, strategic-wise from the county's council point of view, actually worked in my favor. Yeah. So when we went to court, I called my friend who's a paralegal, and I didn't hire an attorney, and we looked over the paperwork. And so it was during COVID, nobody was allowed in the courtrooms, right? So Dave heard about it. Dave Bryan,
Pastor Dave Bryan of Church of Glad Tidings,
who got me into the radio thing. I didn't know anything about radio.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I
Cheryl
just assumed you were a longtime broadcaster because you're so dang good at it.
Never had any experience, and
he's really good. It's a great
show. His wife, Cheryl Bryan, felt like God spoke to her, and that I was supposed to be on the radio, and when they presented it to me years before, I just said, it was a Saturday gig, right? And I said, first of all, I don't have any. He said, "Lou, we think you need to share what's on your mind to everybody." And I said, "I think you're crazy, and it's the worst day of the week, Saturday morning, right? It's like I got things to do." And I did passive resistance and just ignored it until they told me one day, they said, "Oh, by the way,
we haven't forgotten.
In 2 weeks, you're scheduled to be on the air every Saturday, and we'll pay for it. We'll pay for the airtime."
Let me walk you through this because you've just made me flash back to the first time I got I had been on a college radio station. I was nervous my first show there, and several shows after. I was so nervous that I was physically shaking. And I'm not a quiet guy. I don't have a problem talking to anybody. Yeah. But when you're behind that microphone, it all changes.
Yeah.
And when I got my first professional job, I was shaking so hard, and we were still playing records on turntables then, to try and what's called cue up the record. I just assumed you've been in the business for years. I really did, because I think you're that good. And I've been in the business my whole life.
Yeah.
I was shaking so hard that I had to I couldn't put the needle on the record, the needle on the record. So I had to take it with both hands and put it and try several times to finally get it at the very beginning. And then you have to cue up the record. You take your finger and you turn the record until you hear sound. Yes. And then you back it up some, so when you hit start, rip, it'll be right there as it's supposed to be. Couldn't do that either. I had to take the turntable out of gear and move the whole turntable.
Wow.
And I did that for the first shift, a 4-hour shift on this commercial. That's how nervous I was. I bring all this up just to try and get your take on what it was like the first time you went on the air.
Well, it was 1 hour, and I just thought, I don't have enough words for 1 hour to just talk, and what am I going to talk about, right? And so how do you prepare? I'd never prepared before, and I didn't want to read I'm not a script guy, right? If I speak somewhere, I don't use a script. So they said, "Oh, don't worry, Lou. There's a guy named Bob Fischetti who's a local guy in town.
Fish.
Yeah, Fish.
Captain Fish.
Fish, and he was doing some work out there at the same station. He said they'll sit. He said he will set in with you and handhold me. So if I was going to belly flop, he could pick me up, right? And God bless him. He stayed most every Saturday. He came out and sat in on it for a couple of years.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. So he was very kind. And I tell people, I said, if it wasn't for Bob Fischetti, I couldn't have done it because it was overwhelming.
Were you shaking?
I was very nervous, and
Can't even.
yeah.
Start to say I can't imagine, but actually I lived it, so I
yeah.
can't imagine.
So I had no idea. What I do now with a little small team is quite more sophisticated compared to those first days. But we just did it, and we started talking, and people started responding. Because
I'll tell you what, I had you're very blessed with a great owner of the radio station. Doesn't know you personally, but owns the radio station. Very blessed. Friesen, what's his first name?
Ernie Friesen. Now
Ernie
he's
Friesen.
the current owner.
Current owner, right?
I started
Not at
under
the time.
a different guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of response you got, but I'd imagine
Well-
there were people who wanted to shut you down immediately based on the content I've heard from you, and you seem to be emboldened by it, which makes me like you even more. You don't shy away. You don't pull back.
Yeah.
And Ernie Friesen confided in me. As long as Lou wants a job there, he's got it.
Wow, that's very nice.
He said that when I first took over this radio station, I had so many people saying, "We'll continue listening to you, but never fire Lou."
Oh, wow. Well, when we started,
a little job security.
when you start and you have no experience at all, and Dave and Cheryl said, "Oh, we think this is what God wants you to do." I said,
They were right.
yeah. So anyway, after we went along, Tom Huth was the owner, and he was this big guy, and I didn't know. And he said, "Hey man, don't be cussing people out on the radio or anything, and don't be." What else did he say? Anyway, but he would when I'd go in, sometimes I'd cross his path, and because he wasn't there on Saturday, he'd say, "Oh man, I got a threatened a lawsuit over you. Oh, this person called. We're getting all kinds of calls." He'd always say something negative. And one day I said, "Tom, does anybody ever like the show?" And he said, "Oh, hell yeah." He's a big guy. He said, "Oh, hell yeah." He said, "Lots of people like you." And I said, "Tom, why don't you tell me that once in a while? All you tell me is the bad news, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get sued. We're going to get this. Somebody threatened me or something, right?"
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how we started. But Tom was good. And I finally quit because the technology out there, they wouldn't repair. So they were still operating out there before COVID, but I quit. And then Dave freaked out. And
When he says out there, he means the studios where they were. They were actually at the transmitter in like some kind of a shed or a shack.
Oh, it was rough, really rough.
Yeah.
And
And there was a fire out there.
well, eventually, Tom, after I quit, and then Dave said, "Hey, why don't you do a podcast, man? Don't just quit." So we did a podcast. Well, then, unfortunately, Tom died, and his wife sold the business to their friend, Ernie Friesen, or their friend. They were friends. And so then someone arsoned the studio. The entire studio burned down, and all that was left was a transmitter.
It was arson.
Ernie and
Did they ever catch the person, by the way?
I don't think so. So anyway, Ernie built a new studio downtown Marysville, kept the same transmitters or towers, and said, "Hey," well, anyway, once he got it functional, he called me up, and he said, "Hey, would you come back and do that Saturday show you used to do a couple of years ago?" And it was about in the middle of COVID, because the comments I was making on the podcast and then on air, finally, it was a tipping point for Yuba County, and they took me to court. That's when I went to court. They served me.
Oh, that's what that was all about with the sheriff. This wasn't
well,
a separate incident.
No, the sheriff served me. Then I had to go to court. And
But you said it turned out in your favor.
well, it did. It was very unique. So I didn't. Dave Bryan says, "Hey, how can we help?" And I said, Dave, I don't want you to put it out like, hey, let's go support Lou. I'm just going to go and deal with this. So I thought that's the way I was going to roll. Well, when I went into the courthouse, there were all these law enforcement people there, everywhere, top brass, the sheriff himself. I said, hey, Sheriff Anderson, what are you doing here? You got all your brass here. He said, Lou, this thing went out on Facebook that you're going to be coming to court, and hey, we just want everybody to be chill, you know. I mean, he didn't use that term, but I can't remember the term. But in other words, he just said, we're here to support the process, right? So we had all this. The halls of the courthouse were lined with law enforcement, and when we got there, the place was full of people. In spite of COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, they allowed them in. They put us up in a
Did they
special
just dismiss it? And
well, it was interesting because I didn't know. I'd never gone into court before in this fashion. So the judge looked at me, and he said, Lou, did you have time to look over all this? Because they served me again right at the courthouse a second time with another stack of paper. And the judge says, Lou, did you have time to read these documents? And I said, well, we had to wait about 20 minutes for the judge. And I said, I breezed through them. He said, you want a continuance? And I could feel the favor of God right there. He said, you want a continuance? And I said, no. I said, let's just do this. And he looked over to the two county councils, and he said, this is a civil issue. Did you contact him to talk this over and resolve your differences? And they said no. And he said, why not? He said, usually we try to do a pre-court
mediation.
Mediation? How come no mediation? He said, well, we don't have to. He said, okay. He said,
in good faith, you should.
So he said to me, the judge said to me, this is all right now and open, everybody by with signs and everything behind me. And he said,
like out of a movie.
Yeah, he said, would you be, are you opposed to having a side meeting? And I'll just go back to my office. I got some paperwork to do. And when you sort it out, like we're going to go through this, whatever you want to do, you guys. I got a side meeting room over here, and you could just sort it out. I said, yeah, I'd be open to that. Everybody in town has my phone number and knows where I live. They could have come by, right? Or called me over. I'm, small town, right? Called me over to the courthouse or the DA's, the county council. So anyway, we went to the side room, and it got a little gnarly, but I can't say it on the air what I told them. But and I said, I will spend every dollar I got in every asset of mine. I'm going to take you all down. I said, I am not going for this. And I said, in those documents, they said that I was an Asian racist. Right? You remember when the Asians were getting hit? People are they're doing all Asian stuff during COVID for some reason.
Attacking them.
Yeah. And so I said, because the health officer is a Vietnamese, and I said, you don't have any idea who you're dealing with. I said, I dropped $500,000 in Vietnam. She's Vietnamese. I said, I've been doing underground work in Vietnam for 30 years, since the 1990s. And I said, you guys, what are you thinking? And that lady fled Vietnam. I went over there, and we've been doing work with the persecuted people over there. I said, you want to do this in court? I said, you got to produce some evidence that I did something, right? And this, the way they wrote it up, they said, oh, Lou, we didn't say you were a racist. I said, 5 different places in the documents, man. You said, oh, yeah. So anyway, we went back and forth and back and forth. Anyway, we came out with an agreement to just move on, and they didn't get a restraining order.
Did you have to get an attorney, though?
I didn't.
You never did?
No.
So this cost you nothing but time.
Right.
And, of course, a little stress.
I
felt it. I felt it when you said, I felt the
favor of God.
Favor of God.
When
you said that, I went,
when the judge
that made my heart jump.
When the judge looked at me, when he began to question me about another fairness, did I have a fair opportunity to prepare? And I said, well, like I said before, and I just said, let's just go forward with this. let's just do this. So anyway, that was and so for
How many
one
people
year,
were in the room there, by the way, in that conference room against you?
oh, in the conference room,
You're by yourself.
I-
How many were sitting there against you?
No, I had 2 attorneys against me that were paid for by my tax dollars. And I asked permission to bring my friend who's a legal secretary. She actually should be a judge. She's that smart. And so I said, can I have Yaneli come in with me? He said, oh, absolutely. And so she sat in she just listened. She just listened. And so it all worked out. And they haven't. And so
You needed that witness.
They told
there.
me
You needed that witness
Yeah.
there, because otherwise, who knows what they might have tried to say and get away
Exactly.
with, knowing that it would never see
and
the light
she
of
could
day.
she could always chip in ideas if she wanted to. And so when we were going back and forth, the 2 attorneys and I, they said, "Hey, we're not trying to take away your free speech rights. You can still criticize the government." Well, really, I believe they created this phenomenon of why you threatened the life of because there was all these mandates and all this stuff, and I was saying that is fraud. These people need to be tried according to the Nuremberg trials, right? Human rights violations, and they need to be found guilty and shot. I didn't say I was going to shoot anybody. I just said, hey, they need to have justice.
Time to go back to old school.
Yeah. So anyway, they didn't get their restraining order, and we went back into the courtroom with the resolution, and the judge.
Restraining order. I've heard so many different ways of trying to shut us up.
Oh yeah.
We in the media, we very few conservatives in the media. They've tried so many different ways. That's a first. I've never heard that.
Yeah. So they haven't. It's been that was in May 2021, I guess, right in the middle of COVID, and we've been going ever since. And the district, not the district attorney, but the county council said, "Hey, you can criticize all you want. We just want to make sure you're not going to try to take. You are not going to." They were saying, "We don't want you to take the life of the county health officer." I said, "Did you look at my criminal record?"
Which is non-existent.
I said, "I have never had. First of all, I don't even know where the woman works. I'm against her, against what she's saying, but I don't know where she works. I've never met her. I've never emailed her. I've never talked to her on the phone. I'm just talking on the radio." And so, and I have never had. I don't have a record of violence. That's what they were after. They're saying, "Oh, you're going to go do something to this person." Right. So anyway, we moved on, and I just do my same thing today. Yeah.
And you do it very well. Yeah. KMYC, you're on from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Saturday, and you can listen online. What's the website?
Oh, the probably easiest way to say it I also do this podcast, No Hostages Radio, right? That's the podcast.
I didn't know that.
Radio.
Where's that?
Just on I guess on some of these, wherever you get your podcasts, you can just put in No Hostages Radio. But I also is a website where we post all the old podcasts, nohostagesradio.com, and on that there's a listen live. If you click on listen live during 10 to 1 on Saturdays, it'll bump over to the live show on KMYC.
Good.
So I do the podcast once a week, comes up on Saturday morning. We do the live show.
You know what I'm excited for?
Yes. What's that?
Because I know they got approval to up the power of the radio station. When they go, I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want some leftist piece of crap trying to screw it all up. But when they increase power, you're going to be blasting into the Sacramento market, which is a very large market.
A lot of people are listening, and they're just out on our fringe area, and they text me, "Oh, it's a little rough to listen to."
It is.
A lot of people just don't do technology. You think, "Oh, everybody's online on all the apps," but there's a lot of people. When I went to podcast, they just said, "Oh, Lou, we like the radio." Right, we're old school. We just like to turn on the radio.
I do too. I'm that guy, but then I love radio. He honored me by asking me to fill in for him a couple of times now, and I really loved it. The audience is great. But I said the last time, I actually did a good 15, 20-minute segment on the importance of never losing this. People keep saying radio's dead, radio's done, nobody listens to the radio anymore. If that's the case, then why did George Soros just buy over 200 radio stations? Why would he do that? And most of them Spanish language. Who's he targeting? If it is irrelevant, why would he do that? So the point being, when everything shuts down, and you have a transmitter, a generator at the transmitter, right? Mm-hmm. So if power goes out, grid goes down, that's going to be your last line of communication and getting information is the radio, not your phone, because when the grid goes down, towers are going down too. It's the radio. And I know this by experience because I was working in the San Francisco Bay Area in 1989. Yep. When that earthquake hit, yep. There was a whole bunch of us standing around the parking lot listening to KGO, 8:10 a.m., and out of San Francisco because they had a generator. Yeah. They were the only station broadcasting, and that's how we were getting information because everything else was done. Never forget that. Don't quit on radio. And listen to guys like Lou and support him. I think you're great, man. I'm so happy you came over and went on the air with me again.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And you want to follow and support this show and this station and this channel, CharLeeSimons.com. CharLeeSimons.com. You can contact me through there. And you got Lou's information now, so do what you want with it, but share. That's the best thing you can do is share these shows, help us break down these god-awful algorithms. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, America bless God. Appreciate you more than you know. I thank you for supporting this radio station. Go to the advertisers, by the way. Go to the advertisers you hear on this station and let them know you heard about their business on KMYC. They're encouraged to buy advertising to continue because you go in and you say, I heard you on my favorite radio station. That's why I'm here. That's one of the best ways you can support your local radio stations is by actually giving business to the businesses on their business. So the best advertising is word of mouth, right? Well, this radio station has a big mouth. So take advantage of it. If you're not on, you definitely can call the radio station, look them up online or however you like at KMYC. That stands for Marysville, Yuba City, KMYC, AM 1410, Patriot Radio. And value this station. Be a part of it. Thank you, Jolie, for helping me out today. She's an extraordinary young woman. Someday I'd love to, if I fill in again, I'd love to hear your story, especially about the health things that you just went through recently. And I did as well. A little over 3 months ago, I had a stroke. So thank God for healing me and bringing me back from that. And you can find me at CharLeeSimons.com. That's CharLeeSimons. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God. See y'all later. There we go. And that's it. That was my my 3 hours here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along for the ride here on the radio. Support this radio station and support my show if you can. CharLeeSimons.com, CharLeeSimons.com. And I will see you all on the other side. Talk to you later.